June and July of 1943 arrive with a strange mix of exhaustion, tension, and fragile hope inside the secret annex. Anne begins by speaking about loss. One of their closest helpers, Mr. Vossen, is no longer able to visit them. His illness has taken away not only his strength, but also the comfort he once brought to their hidden world. For Anne, this absence feels heavier than silence itself. In hiding, every friendly voice matters. Soon after, another painful sacrifice must be made: their radio. The powerful device that once filled their rooms with voices from the outside world must be handed over. It is replaced by a smaller, illegal one. The radio is not just a machine, it is their courage, their connection to reality, their reminder that the world has not forgotten them. Anne reflects that when the news becomes darker, the radio becomes more precious. At the same time, she is fighting a quieter battle, herself. She tries to behave better, to control her temper, to soften her sharp words, but pretending to be calm is harder than being honest. She feels misunderstood, criticized, and often alone in her thoughts. Still, she keeps trying. Her eyesight worsens. She needs glasses. The idea of leaving the annex terrifies her, yet for a moment she almost allows herself to imagine the street again. The gray coat she finds in the closet is now too small, another reminder that she is growing while time stands still. Work from the office brings small moments of pride. Anne and Margot help with paperwork. Books become treasures. Saturdays feel like birthdays. Reading, learning, and listening to the radio are the only forms of freedom they have left. Then comes another conflict. Anne asked Dr. Dussel for a small corner of space, only 2 afternoons a week to study at the shared desk. His refusal is cold, dismissive, and humiliating. What follows is not just an argument about furniture, but about respect, dignity, and the right to be taken seriously. Anne refuses to remain silent. She argues with courage, with anger, and with the desperate need to be understood. In the end, her father defends her. The desk becomes hers twice a week. Dussel becomes bitter. Anne learns that standing up for herself always has a price, but also a reward. Then fear returns in another form. Thieves break into the warehouse. Doors are forced. Papers, money, and ration coupons are stolen. The annex survives untouched, but the message is clear: danger is always near. Soon after, Amsterdam is bombed. Entire streets disappear. Hundreds are killed. Anne imagines children searching for their parents in the ruins. The sounds of war no longer feel distant, they feel personal. Yet, even in fear, they dream. They talk about the first things they will do when freedom returns: hot baths, coffee, cakes, movies, walking in the streets. Anne wants something even simpler: a home and school. Another terrible day follows. Alarms, explosions, fire in the harbor, airplanes screaming in the sky. Anne clutches her emergency bag, knowing there is nowhere to run. She spends the night trembling, waking to more sirens, more fear. And then, suddenly, hope. News arrives that Mussolini has fallen. For the first time in months, they jump, they smile, they believe. Hope returns, fragile but alive. Life continues with small miseries: fleas, itching, exhaustion, nerves stretched thin. Even laughter becomes rare. Anne describes the secret annex in detail, not as a place, but as a living routine. Beds unfolding, chairs moving, water dripping, whispered footsteps, the constant dance of silence. She describes nights filled with listening. Listening for thieves, listening for bombs, listening for breathing. She describes herself running to her father's bed in the dark. She describes mornings that begin not with sunlight, but with survival. She describes afternoons where everyone separates into quiet corners, trying to pretend that life is normal. And in all of this, Anne remains Anne, observing, feeling, judging, learning, growing. She is not only hiding from the world, she is becoming someone inside it. By August of 1943, the secret annex no longer feels like a hiding place. It feels like a fragile household trapped inside history. Anne begins to describe the evenings around the dinner table, a ritual that reveals more about human nature than about food. Each person carries their own habits, their own weaknesses, their own small battles. Some speak too much, others barely speak at all. Some take more than they should, others barely touch their plates. Anne watches everything with sharp eyes. She notices pride, she notices vanity, she notices kindness hidden behind irritation. And slowly she understands that living together in fear does not make people better, it only makes them more human. She learns to protect herself by staying silent, by observing instead of arguing, by pretending food tastes good when it does not, by waking up quickly, breathing through a small crack in the window, reminding herself that she is still alive. Time itself becomes uncertain. The church bell disappears. Hours lose their meaning. Even shoes become treasures. A pair of second-hand suede heels makes Anne feel taller, stronger, older. Then comes danger again. A forbidden book, a moment of anger in the street, a helper nearly caught by the SS. Anne realizes how thin the line is between safety and disaster. Daily life continues with strange routines, peeling potatoes, sharing jokes, watching silent conflicts grow between adults. Small arguments explode, then silence returns. The annex becomes a place where words are both weapons and shields. She describes how carefully they must live. No noise, no water, no footsteps, no mistakes. Even reading a book must be done quietly. News from the outside brings both hope and pain. Italy surrenders. The radio fills the room with music and celebration. For a brief moment, they believe again. But joy never stays long. Illness returns. Helpers suffer. Tension grows. Arguments become heavier. People grow tired. Anne herself feels trapped inside her own emotions. She begins to describe depression, not loudly, not dramatically, but honestly. She feels fear at night. She imagines arrest, fire, separation. She sees their hiding place as a small blue circle surrounded by dark clouds, slowly closing in. Then she writes about something small and devastating: her fountain pen. The pen that traveled with her through childhood, the pen that wrote her thoughts, the pen that survived her past, until one careless moment sends it into the fire. Anne does not just lose an object, she loses a companion. And yet she turns even this loss into humor, poetry, and memory. Soon after, isolation grows stronger. Helpers are sick, supplies become harder to get, tension between the adults becomes sharper, silence becomes heavier. Then Anne dreams. She sees her old friend Lise, thin, suffering, calling for help. Anne wakes up filled with guilt, helplessness, and sorrow. She understands something terrible. She is alive, and her friend may not be. And for the first time, she truly feels the injustice of survival. December arrives. Despite everything, Anne creates a celebration, a basket, poems, small gifts. Even in hiding, she refuses to let joy disappear. Illness returns again. Anne becomes weak. Doctors examine her. She feels embarrassed, uncomfortable, yet still ironic and sharp. When she recovers, she grows stronger in body, but the world outside grows darker. Christmas comes. Anne feels grateful and deeply sad. She misses laughter, freedom, bicycles, dancing, fresh air. She writes that gratitude does not erase pain, that hope does not cancel longing. She understands that she is still a girl who wants to live, a girl who wants to breathe, a girl who wants a future. And in her final words of this part, Anne admits, writing is the only place where she can be completely honest, because paper is patient.